My first year as a beekeeper, Season 1. It's the 29th of August 2022 and today is our 16th inspection. We're going to remove our supers and do our Varroa treatment. Before I explain about what that is, I'll quickly explain what's going on with the positioning of the hive. As you can see, it's currently on a wonky angle. The reason for this is we're actually trying to rotate this by 90 degrees, whilst also moving it back to sit on the new hive stand. You might wonder why I don't just move it straight there. That's because when it comes to trying to move a beehive, there is one important rule. A hive must only be moved less than 3 feet or more than 2 miles. When a beehive is moved, it can cause confusion for the bees. The bees rely on the positioning of the sun to navigate and find their way back to the hive. If the hive is moved a short distance, say less than 3 feet, the bees returning to the hive may become disoriented or confused, and the hive is not where they expect it to be. This can lead to loss of foraging efficiency and may cause the bees to swarm or abandon the hive altogether. Keeping the distance as low as possible, say a few inches, can help to reduce the distress to the bees. Moving the hive more than 3 feet away can result in the bees never actually finding their hive again, and could result in a significant number of bees dying. On the other hand, if the hive is moved a long distance, say more than 2 miles, the bees will need to reorientate themselves to the new location. This process can take several days, during which time the bees may not be able to forage as efficiently, and the hive productivity can suffer. Moving a hive less than 2 miles away is a bad idea, as many bees will actually just fly back to their old hive's location. This is because a foraging bee often flies several miles, so they will likely already know their new location in relation to their old hive, and therefore just fly back. So to minimise the negative effects of moving a beehive, it is recommended to move the hive less than 3 feet or more than 2 miles to give the bees enough time to reorientate themselves and adjust to their new location. In order to make this as easy as possible for the bees, I have opted to rotate the hive by around 15 degrees or so and move the hive by only a couple of inches at a time. This will be continued over the next couple of weeks until it has reached its final destination. After our recent honey extraction, I popped the super back on the hive to allow the bees to clean up any leftover honey. I'm now going back through this box and shaking off the bees and taking the empty honey supers away. Whilst I do this, let's talk about Varroa mites. Varroa is a parasite mite that feeds on honeybees and their brood. It is considered one of the biggest threats to honeybee colonies around the world, and the UK is no exception. Varroa infestations can weaken honeybee colonies, making them more vulnerable to other diseases and pests, and potentially causing the colony to collapse. When a Varroa mite feeds on honeybees, they can transmit viruses and other pathogens that weaken the bee's immune system. This can make it harder for the bee to develop and produce eggs, which are critical for the survival of the colony. In addition, Varroa mites also prefer to lay their eggs in honeybee brood cells, which are the cells where larvae develop. This can lead to deformed and weakened bees, reducing the overall health and productivity of the colony. Here is a picture which shows some Varroa mites. As a result of these impacts, Varroa infestations can reduce the overall number of bees in a colony, which can make it harder for the colony to reproduce and maintain a healthy population. This can ultimately lead to the decline and even collapse of the colony if left untreated. Therefore, it is important to take measures to control Varroa population in honeybee colonies to ensure the reproductive abilities and overall health of the hive. Beekeepers treat their hives for Varroa mites to keep their bees healthy. This is typically done at least once a year, usually after their honey harvest, before overwintering their bees. Overwintering is a good time for treatment because the hive's brood numbers are typically lower and the mites are concentrated on adult bees. One common treatment method is using a product like Apivar, which is a chemical strip that is placed in the hive. These strips release a chemical that kills the mites without harming the bees. By treating for Varroa, beekeepers can help protect their bees from infestations and ensure a healthy and productive hive throughout winter. Beekeepers should perform Varroa treatment after the honey harvest and not before, because many of these treatment methods, such as chemical treatments or essential oils, can contaminate the honey. By treating after the honey harvest, beekeepers can ensure that the honey is not contaminated and is safe for consumption. Additionally, treating after the honey harvest can also help to reduce mite populations before winter, which can help ensure the health and productivity of the colonies throughout the colder months. We went with a product sold by Abello called Apistan. The method for treating mites using this is to insert 2 strips into each brood box for a period of 6 to 8 weeks. This is 2 brood cycles. The strips should be inserted spaced apart, hanging on different frames fairly centrally in the brood nest, where the bees will be likely to walk over them. The process is pretty straightforward, and over the coming weeks, once the brood emerges, I shall rotate these strips around to make sure that they are covering over new brood. For the nuke I created in an earlier episode, I shall only be using 1 strip per brood box. There isn't really much to show during this process, so I will end the inspection here. If you found this interesting, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.